Welcome to Biteside. I'm Seamus Byrne. This is a show about technology and digital culture and its influence on the future of society. And this week I'm speaking to an Australian who has made a fantastic impact on the world stage, Siobhan Reddy. She's the studio director of Media Molecule, one of the big studios that makes games for PlayStation. They made the classic Little Big Planet games, along with a whole bunch of other really great titles. And of course, Dreams has been one of their really big titles that has opened up all sorts of creative possibilities for PlayStation users. So we're catching up just as Dreams is launching a really big update called Dreamshaping 2.0. It includes huge new tutorials, a big increase in the usability of wanting to make cool things within Dreams. So I talked to Siobhan about the nature of giving people tools to make games with, and also the importance of the idea of community through these sorts of games over the past 2 years. As I kick things off, we even point out the fact that last time we spoke was immediately before COVID started to impact on the world. So we talk a little bit about that, and we talk about the nature of the industry today, how things have been changing. And Siobhan is always great, full of fantastic insights on what's been going on. So let's dive in. Siobhan Reddy from Media Molecule. So Siobhan, I actually checked, and when we last did an interview, it was February 2020. So it was literally the month before all of the crazy times began.
Do you know what, though? That feels like it was literally about a decade ago.
It does. I remember you went into, I think, the studio early one morning, and we were doing a video link thing, and it was all a bit tricky and fussy at the time. But, you know, that was
here we are.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, exactly. Because we didn't have Teams.
Well, yeah, I mean, right. It's almost like actually that was just before we all got really good at doing video calls.
Yeah. No, I mean, now we'd better do that, no sweat. But yeah, that's right. We had all that. What were we doing it on? Was it a PlayStation?
I think it was just that sort of early stage, looking at Dreams and what was going on and how things had been going. Yeah.
Jeez. Oh well, that is quite mad, isn't it? I'm actually really surprised it was that. I kept meaning to look it up today, but like that, I wouldn't have been surprised if you actually said to me that was 2015.
But I guess, with that in mind, I'm like, so I'd love to hear, because I feel like Media Molecules always stood out as being a really creative, collaborative studio. So how did this past couple of years impact on, both, I guess, the way in which you operate and I guess trying to, learn the new ways of doing this kind of work together in the way that you do?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it's been, if you had asked me then in February 2020, like, how do you imagine you could work as a fully remote studio? I probably would have been like, what? Like, that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But actually we adapted really well. And I think that, I think it was a really great testament to the team that like they just, I think we kind of all had to, didn't we? It's like, because we get to that point where, and there was so much going on and like, and I think the team basically just adapted, and we were making the PSVR update at that stage. So up until about probably July, I think it was, we were focused on that. We had a clear focus and a clear thing to be doing. And so that kind of really helped as well. I think that, had we been at the beginning of idea generation on a new update for Dreams, then it possibly could have been more challenging. But we had something clear to focus on. And in that time, like, say it's now been, basically 19 months, pretty much 18 months. So like, I think that we finished work on the 13th of March. Not finished work. We were last day in the studio was Friday the 13th of March. And I remember saying to everybody, you know, see you in 2 weeks. And you know, anyway, everyone just really adapted really well. And in that time, we've been on a really big recruitment drive. We're growing the studio, which is really exciting. So in that time, we've had all these people that I've not met in person yet, but I've like spent, you know, hundreds of hours talking to. Feel like I'm, you know, and it's sort of really, I think we've all learned a lot from that. We've kind of learned like, you know, we can adapt our working styles. We can still collaborate in, you know, there's new ways you do form new ways. We do miss being together. And so, you know, there'll definitely be ways of us working in person over the next 12 months. But yeah, so yeah, it's been very interesting. And I think now at this point, when we're going to come into next year, you know, there'll be another year of learning things as well as we sort of figure out what like hybrid means and that kind of jazz.
Yeah. So, I mean, with some of that hiring, were you still hiring with the idea that they need to be, you know, within a certain radius of the studio, or did you start to open up more of that idea of what it even means to be a studio? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and to be honest, they're all still very live conversations, but yeah, no, I mean, we have definitely embraced hybrid, and we will have multiple ways that people will be working in the studio from now on. And to be honest, though, we always had that. Before this, we operated at about 20 to 30% of the studio were working very flexibly with some people. And we have a studio in Brighton and a satellite studio in Brighton, and we have like desks in London. And some people were working from various parts of the UK. We have one person in Australia. And so like we had some, you know, some fairly clear structure around how all of that worked. And so, you know, I think that definitely helped us as we moved to getting everybody out of the studio. And it will definitely help us as we move back to that kind of finding our new routines and rhythms. So yeah, it's not completely new to us to be able to have that kind of flexibility, but it is work, and it, you know, a lot of that work falls on people like producers to make sure that there's all the right communication and, you know, that kind of thing. So that we're still learning. Like I'd say there's, you know, a lot of things that we're still learning about how to actually make things feel fluid and feel as positive and everything as we want the studio to feel like. But yeah, very interesting. Yeah, you think you know what your next couple of years might be like, and then, you know, things change, and like obviously we've been incredibly lucky and very, very well supported by Sony. So you know, we've definitely been in a very privileged position there.
So how's the Dreams community evolved over the course of the past 2 years as well? I mean, it's been such a game where it is about, you know, creating these wonderful virtual spaces and things, you know, and you're so active in the way that you interface with the community of people. So I can almost imagine that there'd almost be a bit of an emotional radar attached to, you know, the community and its journey through this past couple of years as well.
Yeah, I mean, we have evolved the live team quite significantly over the last 12 months. And so Abby Happy was made the director of live ops, and she's been really sort of building a team of you know, community managers and editorial. And so one of the big areas there has been bringing in Jen Simpkins, who is our editorial manager, and 2 curators. And I think that they've actually done a really interesting job of like, you know, firstly developing, like Jen has been sort of publishing the Insider and sort of getting to know the creators more so that they have more of a voice to be able to answer those questions more directly themselves. And then also in terms of the curation, being able to like really sort of highlight a wide variety of creators within the community. And then, you know, they're early beginnings of just ways of like being able to sort of just develop those sorts of different relationships with the creator community in particular.
I really like that idea of having curators on the team for this because, you know, there's plenty of user-generated content sorts of experiences out there where, you know, there'll be user rating type systems, but you know, that almost becomes self-fulfilling after a while because there's no one whose job it is to go and hunt for the really cool stuff that isn't, you know, being, you know, forced up by voting systems. So, yeah, I mean, what's that been like to sort of think, hey, we need curators to help us to, yeah, really make the most of this thing?
Yeah, it was a really natural decision, like one that was a kind of no-brainer for us in a way. But probably, you know, I say that in that, like, obviously we're talking about the game like all the time. So, probably after like our 100th conversation, it was a no-brainer. But like, But like, we were sort of trying to figure out like how to put different types of things in front of people. And the algorithms are excellent, but they do need, for us, it had been that kind of trying to do just have a bit more of a hand-picked approach to it as well. Like I've always loved it, like when you go into like a record shop or a bookshop or something and you can read the little cards which sort of indicate like sort of other staff's picks.
Yeah.
I've always loved that. Like I like curators personally as well. Like I like going to art shows that have been, where that a great show you've been to has been chosen. It's not like the paintings have just all been put up on the wall, or television programming is curation. Like, that curation is a thing that, surrounds us in many, many ways. Like, the season's fashion, like there's so much about what we experience that is curated that, for us, it was just really important to be able to, be able to sort of be intentional about the content, recognize content, not just rely on things being able to surface to the top, because it doesn't always happen. And also then be able to like theme things and, be able to just sort of do some different things with content to be able to bring it back in front of people's attention if it has like dropped off on the numbers or something like that. So yeah, it's been really, really great. And they do a update for the team every week when they're doing the new banners of like all the things that we should be playing. And that's just an excellent thing as well, because it just sort of like, it reminds all of us, we get that moment to kind of see what they're putting in front of people, and we kind of get an opportunity to contribute to that. So yeah, they've been both Alistair and Jacob have both been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, can you give us a couple of the other things that are going on? Because I've seen a bit of the preview of some of the really cool new updates that are coming real soon, and especially some of the creative stuff seems really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the work that's about to be released. I'm really looking forward to seeing what impact it has. So yeah, the two things that are coming, which we sort of put under the banner of like the dungeon update, and one is the game A Bat's Tale. It's really gorgeous, and it's a lot of, just a lot of fun. There's a lot of really great creatures and fun levels, and it's just been really good to see another small team within Media Molecule make something together. So I'm really looking forward to seeing people's reaction to that. And then also on the Dreamshaping side, what I really love about this new update here is like, obviously, when you're teaching people how to use a new tool, it can be quite hard because you've got to learn about education, and we've learned a lot about education, but we're still learning. And so tutorials that we currently have in the game are sort of really like the fundamentals and sort of teach you very much about how things work. But what these new Dreamshaping templates do is they give you basically game genre templates to be able to then build on top of that and build your own game experiences. And there's obviously a dungeon one to go alongside the dungeon update, but then there's also, I'm just checking what ended up making it in the side-scrolling shoot 'em up, and then a mini golf one, which is exciting.
Yeah.
So, I feel like we're going to see quite a bit of, it's just going to be fascinating to see like what people do with them. And I'm really excited by that.
Well, like one thing that hits me, and I definitely want to dig into the education bit a bit more, but it also sort of strikes me is, what does it mean at this stage in, the game dev world to be making something that keeps kind of giving really big, juicy, exciting updates, but, you're not like demanding people keep getting their wallets out. You're just like supporting an awesome community of people doing cool stuff.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. I mean, I think, we're still building and we're still learning, and, our community are amazing. Like they've really just been great. And I think that what I see that we've been doing with them over the last couple of years is just really learning from them how they interact and participate with Dreams, and what things what they can do with it, what they want. And, and it's definitely, we're still, I'd say we're still definitely in that like test, learn, figure things out, build it, kind of mode. And that's been partly as well, like alongside that is like the growing the studio side, so that we're able to do that, maybe a little more quickly than we have done. But that's sort of that's basically sort of our approach. And, at this stage, like we're still expanding on the project, and they are very much a part of that journey with us.
the template system attached to these, the new dream shaping tools, I feel like that, having seen a couple of video clips of how they work, it really does strike me as something that, in a direct sense, yep, it's going to help you learn how to make some cool stuff in dreams. But in some ways it does, my kids have played around with, Scratch and things like that over the years. And you can kind of see that by having something that's so directly is like, here's a thing and here's how you pull the thing apart and turn it into a new thing, really does seem like it's going to be a great tool for people to get off the starting blocks and actually just go, oh, I can make things.
Well, that's great. Yeah, that's the hope. I think that because it's like everyone learns differently. Like some people are completely unafraid of the blank canvas and just want to tinker. Like I sometimes, I listen to podcasts of people who are like messing around with computers back before anyone really knew what to do with them, and they would just mess around with them. And there's people who are really, that's what they do. They like figure out like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's totally blank, but I'm going to figure it out. And then there are other people, and I fall into this camp definitely, where it's more like, I just need some, I'd like some constraints or some, at least a starting point so that I don't like get overwhelmed by possibilities, and I've got some focus. And I think, and then like with something like Little Big Planet, like we really learned with LBP that people, and I actually learned this with burnout as well, like you learn that people really, we all sort of want to be able to, we're time poor, we want to be able to sort of pick things up and like be able to make our mark on it. And all of these things sort of all come into play when we're thinking about designs for things like this, of just like, okay, well, with this system was very much about like dream shaping, about like, okay, let's make it more pick up and play. Let's look at some of the things that we've learned from LBP and sort of really, put it in front of people in a way that allows them to kind of not have to worry about the fundamentals so much, but they can just worry about what they want to do with it. And I think that's the big difference, is that like some people start from the blank and they figure it out, and other people start from a bit more of a foundation and then do their own thing. All of it can end up with people doing their own wild ideas. But it's just that different starting points that we all have. And so, yeah, this for me is, I'm really looking forward to seeing like who it brings to the creation process and who it helps to unlock those steps for, because, there's that's always really exciting to sort of see new creators or new players come to the platform.
Is there, because I've noticed as well that in the, that the way some of the new curation stuff is going to work, that it'll be able to highlight things like, sort of animators or like, like different kinds of people who are involved with the creative side of things. From what you're just saying there, it sort of hits me that probably the largest portion of people who enjoy dreams just enjoy exploring stuff and playing stuff. I guess it's a good point there that some of those people might suddenly be like, oh, actually, I could test this out.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, exactly. I think that it's about the whole point when we started to build this new dream shaping was about looking at how we could bring on bring on creators who just sort of wanted that different starting point. And so I'm just really, and it's not about like, not everybody who comes to dreams needs to create. Like, it's okay to just play. Like, that's okay. Like, I spend a large amount of my time just playing in dreams. I'm always busy. There's always so much to play. So that is 100% okay. But I think that, for people who want to create, it really is great that we can find different ways to be able to give people a starting point so that then they can go on to make the thing that, that they're desperate to make. And, that might be like some mad dungeon crawler horror golf game.
I want to play that.
I mean, me too, actually. As I've said it, I'm like, that sounds really cool. But that's, that's the sort of, that's what these things should allow.
You have 6 putts to escape the house. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go make that.
You've got it. That's it. That's the elevator pitch.
Do you remember what the first tools were you used when you were first starting out?
Well, it would have been film for me to begin with, and that would have been, I think it was like Media 100 or something.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I remember being forced to use that.
Yeah, Media 100. I think that was, but it was like amazing at the time.
Yeah. It was a whole different thing. Absolutely. Yeah,
exactly. So there's that.
But I always remember the cool kids next door had access to Avid and I didn't.
Oh. Yeah, my school did not have Avid. Yeah, but then I came up through production, so I was always, Excel and post-it notes and more playing the game than using tool other than when I was doing localization, and I can't remember what I would have used. Probably something, don't remember.
Probably really good at pivot tables though.
I don't really use a lot of pivot tables, but I am really very good. Kate and I were chatting about this yesterday. We both love a spreadsheet, and for me, it's about a lot of the time in production, what you're got to be able to do is just take a lot of complex information and be able to parse it in a format that is just words, and it's not as exciting for the rest of the team. But for those of us who are sort of thinking about literally just what is the status of everything, we need a spreadsheet and we need colors and we need tabs and all those things.
Make it visual as efficient.
So that make it as visual as
spot things at a glance.
Yeah, exactly. So lots of lots of spreadsheets in my time.
Like conditional color formatting stuff.
Oh yeah, look, I'm very particular about my colors.
One last thought. It really does feel like, so I have, 13-year-old daughter at the moment. She's just made this wildly cool Scratch game that blew my mind because I got told to make a platformer, and then she went, and I'm going to put a story into it, and I'm going to do all the art, and I'm going to do, and it was, and she put combat in it and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I didn't even know Scratch could kind of quite go that deep. And now I'm like, I'm going to throw her at Dreams because I'm like, now go play with another cool tool and see what you can do with this. Yeah, it really sort of hits me again. She's in that zone where I'm like, which way does it go when you've got annoying people nearby who are like, what are you doing making games? How have you sort of seen, over time things get better along that side, or how that balance is on the whole? Some people just want it enough to make it happen, and the whole you can't be what you can't see thing. Thankfully, people like you out there that they can see now.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think when you're a teenager and you've got a passion for something, and it's not a passion that other people around you share, friends or schools or that kind of thing. I definitely had that, and it sort of was things that I think it just made me probably more resolute that I was that those things that I was interested in were my hobbies. I was saying to someone I was reading my school report card the other day, and one of the things in my report was it's sort of talking about how focused I was on the things that I loved, and how really I should be focused on everything. And I was thinking, why? I think the encouragement is to just sort of keep following your hobbies and your interests, because it's the people around you are not going to always share those, and that's okay. That's completely fine. It doesn't mean your hobby, the interest is wrong. If you love art and people around you don't, or you're super into physics and people around you aren't, or you're super into something else, I think that's the thing. It's one of those rites of passage, is to sort of just carry on and just stick it to them.
That's awesome. I remember my best school report quote was from Metalwork, where the teacher said, "Seamus is a pleasant young man who shows no interest in this subject." And that was the whole comment. And I'm oh yeah, fair enough. Fair he enough. Understood.
Yeah. Yeah, they're so judging. It's so yeah. So yeah, it's quite fascinating to just read back these things sometimes and think, oh, the pressure. I can't be good at everything. Can you be good at everything? I mean, some people are good at everything, and that is amazing.
Yeah, lucky for them. Awesome. Thank you, Siobhan. Really appreciate your time.
No problem. It's lovely to see you again.
Thanks again to Siobhan Reddy from Media Molecule. As mentioned, there is a really cool new update to Dreams, which is available on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Go check that out if you've never looked at it. It really is an amazing creative space for just playing stuff or for creating cool new things. We'll be back with more from Byteside real soon.